Hey, folks, welcome. Thanks for joining me. We are on another exciting adventure today. I thought we'd ring out the Boeing 747 jumbo jet as modified by Salty using the Salty 747. And unlike the Airbus, I won't have the advantage of a virtual first officer today, someone to help me with the procedures and the radio. I will be able to use the ground crew. My favorite program written by FS2 Crew is Pushback Express, and that program can be used with a myriad of different airliners, including the 747. So we use the ground crew, but we won't have the flight deck crew. So the problem with the 747 is that it's a jumbo and it's designed for intercontinental travel. It's when you're sitting on in a flight simulator, you don't get too comfortable after 3 or 4 hours. Well, this baby is designed for flights of 6 hours, or down to Australia for 10 hours or 11 hours, and that is challenging. Not only as a flight sim person to fly, but also as somebody to watch on a video screen. So we're just going to ring this airplane out a little bit, take it down to Portland, Oregon. The flight is, I don't know the exact distance, but we won't even top 24,000 feet. So we're not even going to, almost as soon as we're at the top of climb, we're going to be descending to land. As all my flights are, live weather, live traffic, live time of day. It is 8 o'clock in the morning here in Minnesota, so it's 6 a.m. back in Everett, Washington. Quick little flight from Everett, Painfield, down to Portland, Oregon. Probably just get a little hint of the morning dawn, but I expect when we get on the airplane, it'll be dark, which is fine. I always find it counterintuitive that most passengers fly during the daytime, most cargo flies at night. And because the sun asymmetrically heats the earth, flying in the nighttime is actually when you get the smoothest ride. You don't get the rising and falling air that cause the turbulence. Before we actually set up the flight, let's just take a moment and go to the hangar and enjoy the lines. Let's enjoy why this is called the Queen of the Skies. If this video does not make you fall in love, time to set up our flight. We're flying from Payne Field, which is the home of the jumbo jets. Let's start from, well, we will do this. Let's zoom in. There's downtown Seattle, SeaTac Airport just to the south. Boeing Field is where many of the planes go through their test flying. Renton, Washington is where the standard body airplanes are built, the 37 and the 57. Kenmore Seaplane Base, there's Everett. This building is the largest building in the world in terms of internal volume. What I mean by that is, if you were to fill this building with water, it would hold more water than any other building on the planet. And it was built in early 1969. About mid-1969, they started to build the prototype 747. Actually, they started assembling the 747 in this building before the building was even complete. And the early part of the building started with this small structure, this structure, and these first two bays. These first two bays are dedicated to the Queen of the Skies, the 747. Later on, when the wide-body 767 was developed, this third bay was added. And then later on, for the 777, this fourth bay was added. And now currently we have bays 5 and 6 for the development of the 787 and any future development that Boeing might want to pursue. Actually, I don't know if the 87 uses both of these bays or just one of them, but six football field size hangar doors provide access to this building. You can see all the employee parking. 28,000 employees are employed here. They work in 3 shifts, 5 days a week. They don't usually operate on Saturday or Sunday. And there is no heating or air conditioning in this building. We are not far from the water. This is the bedroom community of Muckleteal, Washington. You can see Puget Sound is right off the shore. So we're not far from the water. During the summertime, they leave the bay doors open and let the breezes blow through. At night, they close the doors. They allow the body heat of the workers and the electrical equipment to keep this building toasty warm in the wintertime. So just amazing. This roadway is called the Muckleteal Speedway. Actually, it's just a nickname for it. I believe it's Washington 508 or 503 or something like that. It's called the Muckleteal Speedway, which leads into the community of Muckleteal. And there's a small bridge that connects the factory to the rest of Snohomish County Airport. Down here is the general aviation part of the airport with the small runway, runway 16 left and 34 right. And out here, there's an unused runway, runway 29. These are Boeing Air Force refuelers. Usually Air Force refuelers are parked out here. And then the big runway, it's either 11,000 or 12,000 feet long, I'm not sure, is 34 left and 16 right. There's some other, I believe this might be owned by Weyerhaeuser Corporation, which is a timber company in the area. They may have a facility right there. There's a very upscale, luxurious hotel here on the other side of the field. I believe it's that building right there. It's a Hilton Garden Hotel. Let's say you're a high-power executive and you're coming in to pick up your brand new Boeing jet. You know, the number one export from the United States in terms of dollars is Boeing aircraft. You measure the dollars of all exports out of the U.S., Boeing airplanes are number one. So the high-power executive comes in, he stays at the Hilton Garden. Then he comes over to what's called the Delivery Center, which is this building right here. It's the only building on paying field that has jet bridges. You can see there's a jet bridge here, and there's a jet bridge here. And what will happen is this brand new airplane, after it's gone through its test flight phase, it's flown by Boeing test pilots and by test pilots from the accepting company. They'll both have their chance to ring out the airplane. Then they park it here at the delivery center. They attach the jet bridge, and the executives can see their new airplane in an environment that's similar to what they might experience at an airport. So they can board the airplane by way of the jet bridge and see it in an airport environment. So that's the delivery center. So between the factory and the delivery center, there's this small bridge. And every Boeing aircraft has to be towed across this bridge. Can you imagine the traffic nightmare that would happen on the Muckleteal Speedway if during the height of daytime the Boeing company would tow these massive airplanes across this bridge? The traffic jam would be a nightmare. Potential for accidents would be very high. So Boeing company makes it a policy of only towing the aircraft across at night. Here you can see a couple of airplanes. They may have been finished, and they're waiting for nighttime, and then they'll be towed over here. And when they're towed over here, they're going to be moved into one of these 7 positions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's 2 off to the side, 6 and 7. And these positions are for planes that are they're either due in to go to the paint shed or they've just come out of the paint shed. These 3 buildings are the paint sheds. Building 1, Building 2, and Building 3. These are the paint sheds, and these are the paint preparation stations and after paint processing stations. Then once the planes have been painted, they are put on this long line here and other places at the airport. Sometimes way down here. And this is where they will spend their time until their flight testing is completed and they are ready to be delivered to their new customers. This is a small airplane mock-up. It's not a full airplane. This little mock-up is used by the Painfield Fire Department to practice their fire extinguishing procedures. Anyway, this is what's called a hush house. This building, the planes can be towed into this building, usually tail first, and they can run up the engines, and the hush house quiets the engine noise for the surrounding communities. Anyway, we are going to put us now. I would prefer to start us here at one of the parking positions at the delivery center with the jet bridge. We're going to be using some freeware scenery. The artist has made some drop-dead gorgeous scenery, but he got a little too carried away in his static airplanes. He actually parked 2 787 airplanes here in the delivery center, making it unavailable for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to park us down here and stand number 88 right here at the end. And you see all these airplanes are pointed outward, their nose outward. Unfortunately, due to the limitations of Microsoft Flight Simulator, our plane is going to be pointed nose in. So we're going to need a pushback. But live weather, little cloudy, live traffic, live players. Let's go fly. Our routing today is pretty simple. It's just starting off from Painfield. We have 1 VOR in Seattle at SeaTac VOR, and then we're immediately on a procedure called the Helen 6. The Helen 6 procedure takes us by Mount St. Helens. There you can see Mount St. Helens with their top blown off. Oh, there's Mount St. Helens with the top blown off right there. And then there's some other mountains, Mount Rainier, Mount Adams. I don't know. That might be Mount Adams right there. That's just a high peak. And then Mount Hood is right there. And the other one is Mount Baker. Mount Baker is right there. So Baker, Rainier, Adams, Helens, St. Helens, and Mount Hood. And then Three Sisters is down here, all part of the Cascade chain. So our routing, Payne, Seattle, we're on the Helens 6 arrival. Take us to Battleground. Battleground is a community just outside of Vancouver, British Columbia. It's the home of a... It is a... I'm going to pause the video just a bit. Took a phone call. You know, I didn't realize there was that pause button for a good long time. But now that I found there's a pause button on the recording, I can kind of do that. Anyway, that's our route. Helens Battleground is it's a suburb of Vancouver. There was a native battle at one time. That's how the city got its name. And then the Columbia River, the runway 10 right is right along the edge of the Columbia River, so we can kind of use it for a visual pickup before we're on final. So this should be wonderful. Well, I'm going to set the air traffic control program aside. And let's push fly. Do a little external walk around of our aircraft here. Oops. Get the camera down a little bit. Looks like we're just having a hint of dawn. The building to our... That building directly ahead, that's the Hilton Garden Hotel, where those high-power executives will stay prior to their accepting the aircraft. Coming into view on the right is the largest building in the world. 6 football field-sized doors. Actually, they're not fully a football field. They're a football field minus the end zones. They're 100 yards across, 300 feet across, but they don't have the end zones of a football field. But an amazing building nonetheless. There are the 3 paint sheds. Next to us are parked a couple of 787s, one in American Airlines livery. I believe the other one is in Air Canada livery. Beyond that, you'll see a plane painted in the livery of All Nippon Airlines, Blue Tail ANA. That's parked at the delivery center, and the one next to it is an Emirates aircraft. That's also parked at the delivery center. That's where I would prefer to be parked. Down there. That is our external walk around. Let's see if we can get the air stairs attached. Let's see if we can't climb aboard. Here we go. Notice the 3 entryways. Normally, when a 747 boards, they use the forward cabin door and the mid cabin door. Sometimes you'll see jet bridges attached also to the upper deck door. Hardly ever will you ever see only one jet bridge on a 47. This normal capacity, of course it depends on the seat configuration, is in the 460 passenger range. In Japan, some of these planes are configured to carry more than 500 passengers. What they do is the seats are a little smaller than usual. They take out the galleys, they take out the restrooms. They're used for island hopping on only these 30-minute flights. So they don't carry a lot of fuel, and they can just fill them up with people, more than 500 on those island hopping flights. Jet bridge is attached. Let's hop aboard. First thing I like to do, and I know you don't see this in a lot of videos, is to do what's called a rainbow check. And a rainbow check, even before we sit down, actually, before we sit down, what I want to do is get some lights. Let's illuminate things in here a little bit. We have external power. We'll use it. Here's a external power 1, external power 2. We'll flip the guard off the battery and turn the battery on. Flip the guard back down. I'm going to come down here and turn up some of these rheostats, turn up some of these interior lights. And what I want to do is called a rainbow check. Now, a rainbow check is named because it takes the name of the movement of your eyes. What you do is you start your eyes down on the floor on one side of the flight deck, and you move your eyes in the shape of a rainbow. And what you're doing, you're making sure all these circuit breakers are pushed in. You can check this light. There's a flashlight over there you can check. Maybe there's a fire extinguisher and you can see that it's in the green. Maybe here inside these bookcases, the Boeing operational manuals, you might find an airworthiness certificate. You might find a crash axe. You might find a first aid kit. Extra headsets. You want to check out this oxygen mask for the person in this jump seat right here. Move your eyes in a rainbow shape down from the floor, around the top, and back down to the floor on the other side. Here's another oxygen you can check for this jump seat person. Check their headset, check the lights. There's a flashlight over there, some more manuals. All these things are checked in the rainbow check. You might have some spare fuses. You might have an escape rope. All these things are important to check. Okay, time to take our seats. Logo light on, wing light on, strobe light off, nav light on, beacon light off for right now, taxi off, turn off, landing lights off, all the interior lights are turned on, utilities are on, standby power can go to auto, APU is off for right now. We're going to line up the IRS, the inertia reference system, align and then nav, align and then nav, align and then nav. We can look at the fuel pumps. The fuel pumps are off for right now. Anti-ice is all off. Window heat is off. Actually, I'll turn the window heat on. I'm going to turn on the engine bleeds. It won't do anything now, but once the APU is started, it'll provide pressurized air to start the engines. Packs are on, normal equipment cooling. We can adjust the temperature in the cabin and the cargo if we like. Leave the cargo to auto for right now. Yaw dampers are on, and we are okay. I know some of these test buttons do not work. We can't test the fire overheat test. That does not work. I know the flight recorder test way at the top, that does not work either. Let's get down to our flight management computer. I'm going to see if I can't get a good viewing angle on this thing. Just to make the hitting the buttons a little easier, I'm going to move this speed brake handle. Oh, there we go. Move that speed brake handle out of the way. Flight management, data link. Data link. We'll go to the data link first. No comm on the data link. That's not good. Flight, I wanted to go back to that menu. Flight management computer. We are in a Boeing 747-800. We have Gen X engines. Our AIRAC cycle is current. We'll go to the position initialization page. Here is our reference airport of Papa Alpha Echo, gate number 88. This is our current GPS position that we can use to align the IRS, so we'll put it in the scratch pad and in it goes. Page 1 of 4, 2 of 4, this is more GPSs that are installed, and this airplane is just chock full of GPS units. Routing. KPAE down to KPDX. Flight number 43. We do have a route, so we'll use the data link to get it from our dispatch office. We'll load it in and we'll execute. Departure. Pane 6 departure. Basically, that's radar vectors. Runway 34, that might change, but for right now, we'll leave it in there. Arrival. Using the Helen 6 arrival to ILS 10 left. Seattle transition. Don't know about that transition. I'll leave that alone. Execute. Let's look at the legs page. 3-4 to Seattle, and we're immediately on the procedure. Once we get to Battleground, which is the final VOR, we've got vectors. Trail is actually an extension of the runway center line for final approach. So I'm going to select trail, put it in the scratch pad, and move it right here after Battleground. And then 10 left. So let's take a look at our routing. Oh, actually we can't do it yet. Our IRS is not fully aligned yet. We need to give it just a little more time. So, ident, position initialization, route, performance. We can fill in these fields from our dispatch office. Zero fuel weight, reserves. Okay, so what we want to do here is to go, this is what is put into the computer from our dispatch office, but it's not the actual weight of the aircraft. We need to change the weight of the aircraft to match what's in the computer. Here we have a, oh goodness. We need to pull up our flight plan here. We have a takeoff gross weight of a ramp weight. We want the ramp weight of 203,503. 203 takeoff gross weight 28. I'm sorry, ramp weight 283,503. We want to make the airplane match that 283,503. Well, the first thing we can do is play with our payload. We don't have much payload, so we'll lower that a little bit. We'll lower it down like about 7%. That'll be good. Now, that doesn't do a lot. What's really going to do the magic is the fuel. 283,503. So we want that number, 326, the total weight, not the max takeoff weight. Max takeoff weight is what we could have. We want our total weight to be 283,503. We'll do that with our fuel. So watch that number, 283,503. 283. I felt the airplane shudder when I first touched that button. 283,503. 282. It's got to be more. It can't be less. It's got to be more. 284,188 is pretty darn close. So that is what we will use for our fuel. 28% fuel, main 1, 2, 3, 4. Nothing in the reserve tanks, nothing in the stabilizer tank, and nothing in the center wing tank. All the fuel is on the 4 main tanks. That is, oh, wait a second. Oh, these are, we want kilograms. Why does this say pounds? Oh, that's only for that. Okay, but for the total, it's all in kilograms. Well, that's what we wanted. It worried me there a little bit when I saw that pounds, because we do want the weights in kilograms. 284,188. Wonderful. Let's go to our thrust limitation page, 11,000-foot runways. We can afford to derate the engine performance a little bit, down to 10% derate. Flap setting is 10. And here's the payoff. Here's the pudding. If we have calculated correctly and our airplane is not too heavy and the runway that we've selected is long enough, we're going to be able to get V-speeds. If we made a mistake, we won't get V-speeds. So let's take a look and see if we have V-speeds. 155, 132, 119. We have V-speeds. So I'm going to take that 155 and I'm going to move it into the MCP panel. 155. As our initial takeoff speed. I'm going to change our heading to runway heading, which for runway 34 would be 340. And I don't know the altitude yet, as we haven't talked to air traffic control. I'm going to turn on the flight director on both sides. I'm not going to hit the auto throttle arm yet, because if there's an accident and the auto throttle malfunctions, we could have a runaway engines, and I don't want that. So I'm only going to arm the auto throttle just before takeoff. We can move the auto brake into the RTO position, the rejected takeoff position. That is good. We are progressing nicely. And we're getting some daylight outside as well. Let's get a clearance. Going to
Snohomish County Information Victor, 1337 Zulu, winds are 304 at 8 knots. Visibility 10 miles. 1,600 few clouds. 4,600 broken. Temperature 11, dew point 8. Current altimeter is 3006. Arriving and departing runway 34 right, 34 left. Snohomish County Information Victor, 1337 Zulu, winds are 304 at 8.
3006 on the altimeter setting. Having a problem with that brake lever. That brake lever should, there it goes. Fuel cutoff valves to cutoff. Thrust handles to idle. Landing gear handle should be down. Oh, the previous crew left it up. Let's get the spoiler handle back up. Snohomish clearance delivery. Lufthansa 4 tree, ready to copy. Painfield clearance delivery. Lufthansa 4 tree, ready to copy. Clearance delivery. Lufthansa 4 tree, ready to copy.
Lufthansa 43 is cleared to Kilo Papa Delta X-ray as filed. Expect departure runway 34 left. Climb and maintain 5,000 feet. Expect higher clearances 2 minutes after departure. Departure on 128.5. Squawk 4165.
Lufthansa 43 is cleared to Kilo Papa Delta X-ray as filed. Climb and maintain 5,000 feet. Expect higher clearances 2 minutes after departure. Departure on 128.5. Squawk 4165.
Lufthansa 43 rear back correct. Altimeter 3006 contact ground on 121.8 when ready for pushback. Have a good morning.
Altimeter 3006 ground on 121.8 Lufthansa 43.
4165 into the transponder. It's set to the TARA
Alfa
mode.
Romeo, Ivat Tower, taxiway Charlie taxiway and backtrack, line up runway 11, wind 130 degrees, 11 knots, KNH 1023.
We don't.
Squawk 5565.
We don't have.
Report, holding point Charlie.
We don't have passengers aboard, but I'm going to put the seatbelt sign on. I'm going to. This is inoperative, but I would put deny on the flight deck door. We can chime the cabin. That doesn't work either. So we are ready to talk to the ground crew. Somehow my settings were not correct on this.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead, flight deck.
There we go.
Confirm all ground checks complete. We're cleared to pressurize the hydraulics.
Outside check is completed, all doors and panels are closed, no issues found. You can pressurize the hydraulics anytime now.
There go the boarding stairs. Let's see if they'll close that
Operate number
flight
4,
deck door.
destination status, requesting flight level 340, onboarding.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead, flight deck.
We will be ready shortly.
Understood.
Invoices 6 hours, requesting push and start.
Paying ground. Lufthansa 43 requests pushback and engine start.
Lufthansa 43 pushback and engine start approved.
Pushback and engine start approved. Lufthansa 43.
Did I mention that we are Lufthansa flight? The scenario I wanted to set up was that there was a Lufthansa executive in Portland, Oregon. We'd go down and show him the airplane. So for the purposes of our flight today, we are a Lufthansa flight. Let's get the APU fired up. APU on. APU start. Fuel pumps on. Main. No fuel in the stabilizers. No fuel in the center tank. No fuel in the outer tanks. Cross feeds are on. Let's get the beacon light on. There we go, both. Looks like we are attached. So let's request that pushback.
Pushback start approved. Face east, Charlie taxiway, runway 11. Report ready taxi.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead, flight deck.
We are ready for pushback and engine start.
Understood. Release the parking brakes, please.
Oh, I don't want to have this camera problem I had earlier. Yeah, I keep having this camera issue. Ah, darn it. I really wish there was a better camera system. Okay.
Parking brakes released.
Pushing back. All ground equipment is clear. You can start the engines at your discretion.
Let's pull the starter on number 4. Monitor number 4.
The push is complete. Please set the brakes.
Having a problem with that brake. I don't think it's the auto brake that's doing it. Why are we having an issue with the brakes? Okay, engine number 4 is stabilized. Let's pull the start on engine number 1. N2 is starting to climb. And we can introduce fuel to engine number 1.
Kappa 5 at Tower, startup approved, runway 11, 140 degrees 9 knots, QNH 1026, temperature 18, 2.06, temp check 0837. Report ready, liftoff.
Parking brake set.
There we go.
Understood.
Whoa!
Okay, the turbo is disconnected and the pin is out and equipment is clear.
Thanks, and you can disconnect and go to hand signals.
Thanks, have a good flight, and we'll see you later.
That took quite a while to get that parking brake set. Okay, we're going to start up number 3. Appreciate your patience while we went through that. Let's introduce fuel to number 3. And I'm going to do 3 and 2 together. I think this plane can handle it. It can do 3 and 2 together. Now that we have 1 and 4 started, you don't necessarily have to. I mean, the first 2 engines, it's good to do them individually, but once those 2 are running, I think you've got enough bleed pressure to start the other 2 simultaneously. Now let's say you're in the Roman Empire and you're in a chariot with 4 horses, and you know your horses, and one of your horses is a little stronger, one's a little weaker. That's very similar to a 4-engine airplane. You've got 4 power plants. They were built at different times. They're not quite exactly the same, and they can have slightly different outputs of power. Notice how 1 and 2 are not quite producing as much as 3 and 4. You get that little auto start. Notice how I nudged the number 2 throttle and I made that auto start indication go away. Just like racehorses, the performance of engines is not an exact science. They're slightly different, which is fine, as long as you know that and you're able to work with it. Well, we got a kind of an unusual space here. There's a better view of those murals off on our right. Okay, let's get a taxi clearance. Paying ground, Lufthansa for tree, ready for taxi, runway tree 4. Paying ground, Lufthansa for tree, request taxi, runway tree 4.
Lufthansa 43 taxi to runway 34 left via taxiways Alpha, Alpha 8, Alpha 9er, hold short runway 16 left, and runway 34 left.
Taxi to runway 34 left via taxiways Alpha, Alpha 8, Alpha 9er, hold short runway 16 left, and runway 34 left Lufthansa 43.
What kind of crazy pushback did that guy give me? Ha ha ha! I'm not sure we're going to be able to taxi out of this mess. Well, we'll try. Let's get that parking brake off. I'm going to do this from the outside. Sometimes it's easier to get my bearings when I'm outside. I hope I don't.
Nova Mixway, Tower, taxi holding point, Echo Taxiway, runway 11, 180 degrees, 11 knots, QNH 1025, time check 0841, report holding point, Echo.
Don't have a whole lot of clearances here. Before we get too far into the taxi, let's just put the brake on. Put the brake on. Let's go to controls, flight controls. Oh, that's okay. We'll go through the EFIS. Electrical system is fine. Fuel pumps are on. ECM is not monitored. Flight controls. This is what I want to do. A flight control check. Elevator full down. That's fine. No binding. Elevator up. That's fine. Full deflection. No binding. Right aileron. That's fine. Left aileron. That's fine. Right rudder. That's fine. Left rudder. That's fine. Spoilers. That's fine. Flight control check is complete. Hydraulic system is not monitored. Doors are closed. Tires are up to pressure. We don't have hot brakes, so we can go to the engine panel. And that's fine. Now what I want to also do is come up here top and put on the taxi light, the runway turn-off lights. I want to move the transponder into the TARA position. And let's go to our chart. Pull up Payne Field and look at our taxi. Where are we? Here we are at stand 88. We're going to be using taxiway A all the way down to A10 and then departing from 34 left. That is our taxi brief. Let's have our departure brief. We're on radar vectors to SEAVOR. And then we're on the landing procedure. So departing to the north, radar vectors
0430,
to SEA,
startup approved, runway 11. Report,
and then our procedure.
Ready taxi.
Taxi brief completed, departure brief completed. Now we can continue on. Parking brake off. I'm using rudders to taxi, but that's not in real life. Oh, look at the shadow. I love the shadow. In real life, you would not taxi with the rudders. You would taxi with what's called a tiller. And a tiller is a little steering wheel device. It's down by the pilot's left kneecap. These steel, just off of our left wingtip, you can see those long steel devices. Those are called JBDs, or jet blast deflectors. So let's say you powered up an airplane on the line here. That jet blast would not blow across the taxiway or blow across the runway. Look at the aircraft straight ahead, out ahead of us to our right. That's called the or a Guppy. That plane is called it's a modified Boeing 787 Dreamliner. And it's called a Guppy. It has a very large fuselage that's designed to carry parts for other aircraft. Parts for Boeing airplanes come from 48 of the 50 states. And I forget how many countries. I think there might be 16 countries that supply parts for the 47. There's a better look at the delivery center there on our right with that All Nippon airline and the Emirates airline parked up next to it. And then you can enjoy all the other liveries, planes that have recently come out of assembly. Some airlines, as a practice, will only start one engine or sometimes two engines for taxi, and then they'll hold off on starting the other two engines until they're out here. Usually, if there's a lineup to go, they'll wait, and while they're waiting in line, they'll fire up the other engines. We're about to come up to this unused runway, which is 29. 29 is never, never, never used. You saw in the satellite picture that it had Air Force refuelers parked on it. Well, it doesn't have anything parked on it today. But usually that's what it's used for. It's amazing, but if you fly a lot around Western Washington, SeaTac, Vancouver, all the airports, the big and small, most of the runways have a north-south orientation.
4-3 clear to cross runway 34 right.
Cleared to cross runway 34 right, Lufthansa 43.
That's not 3416 we just crossed. 3416 are the long ones, and the little short one over by the general aviation field. I mentioned this little property off on our left. Oops, over there. I believe that belongs to Weyerhaeuser. They call them, it's a lumber company, but they actually call themselves the Tree Growing Company. It's a fact that Weyerhaeuser actually plants more trees than they cut down. All part of sustainability. Here's the Snohomish Fire Department here on the left. Snohomish Airport Fire Department. In an Airbus,
Lufthansa 43 contact tower on 120.2. Have a nice flight.
Tower on 120.2 Lufthansa 43.
in an Airbus, you would have to... Come on, brake. Don't fail me now. Come on, brake. This brake is driving me, but there it goes. Whoa. Okay, in an Airbus, you would have to choose a flex takeoff by putting the throttles in a flex position. Here on the Boeing, you would go into toga mode, takeoff go-around mode, and the aircraft would read the information from the flight management computer, and it would automatically only give you takeoff thrust. So you just push the thrust handles all the way forward, and you're getting your D-rated thrust without having to do anything specifically to the aircraft. Okay, let's
50 Eva Tower, Boeing time 29, contact radar 125.7. On the back.
Thanks, 1257, we'll call you coming back, in 950.
We've got the landing lights on. We will start the clock as soon as I find out where the clock is. You know, I must admit, I don't know where the clock is. It's one of the very basic things all IFR aircraft have to have is a clock for timing holds and for timing approaches. And I don't see a clock on this airplane, so we'll put the brakes back in RTO mode. We can shut off the APU. We don't need the APU anymore. And for some reason, I can't start the clock. Anyway, let's get a takeoff clearance. Bain Tower, Lufthansa 43, ready for departure, runway 34.
Lufthansa 43 winds are 304 at 8 knots, altimeter 3005, cleared for takeoff. Runway 34 left, maintain runway heading until above 1600 feet, enter left heading 136 to intercept the course.
Cleared for takeoff. Runway 34 left, maintain runway heading until above 1,600 feet, then left to 136 Lufthansa 43.
That's for check for traffic on final. Clear. Check for runway obstructions. Can't see too much, but I hope it's clear. Arm the auto throttle. We can actually arm VNAV and LNAV here as well. Doesn't really hurt anything. I'm told VNAV is a little sketchy on the 747 Salty. We've been cleared for takeoff, so out to the wild blue we will proceed. It's kind of hard for me to manipulate all four. Oh, come on, baby, don't do this to me. Oh, why are we doing this?
Airborne, passing 1,500 feet on the runway heading.
Well, it's not going to be pretty, but let's just get in the air. You can see the toga indication on the primary display. V1. There's V1. There's rotate. Up we go. Positive rate. Gear up.
Lufthansa 43 clean and maintain 12,000 feet.
Climb and maintain 12,000 feet. Lufthansa 43.
Lufthansa 43 clean and maintain flight level 180. Contact Seattle departure on 128.5. Enjoy your morning.
Climb and maintain flight level 180. Departure on 128.5. Lufthansa 43. Departure Lufthansa 43 climbing to flight level 180.
Lufthansa 43 good morning. Radar contact.
I know why the takeoff was a little rough, other than not being on center line. Autopilot on. I never put the 10 degrees of flaps in. We took off with no flaps. So having a little flaps would have helped us on the takeoff. Sorry about that. Thankfully, this airplane is powerful enough. I mean, in some airplanes, having no flaps would be just absolutely catastrophic. But we got away with it this time.
Good day, Edward 797 Heavy, 3,700 descending speed of an RNAV 19 approaching code film.
So landing gear is up. After takeoff checklist, landing gear is up, flaps are up. We're going to be reaching transition altitude. Here comes 10,000 feet. We can turn off the landing lights. We're going to reach transition altitude, but we won't be above transition altitude for monstrously long before we level off. There's the Navy base right below us, the Everett Naval Air Station. I'm sorry, Navy base. Now in the satellite view, we didn't see a carrier, but I do believe I can see a carrier down there right now. There's a carrier parked at the Navy base. There's the ferry dock. Remember the ferry dock we saw from the satellite view? Move the range out a little. "26 miles to Seattle
Lufthansa
VOR.
43 climb and maintain flight level 240.
Climb and maintain flight level 240 Lufthansa 43.
Mount Rainier ahead of us to the left, Mount Adams just behind it. You can see Mount St. Helen just behind that. Live weather. So Seattle is having an overcast day today. Not too uncommon for Seattle in September. Kick that range out a little further. I want to check our ILS frequency for our approach. We're actually coming in on a different runway. It's ILS 10 left. And and we want to see the approach on an overlay. Frequency is 110.3. The course is 103. No real surprises. So let's check that.
Lufthansa 43 expect the L6 arrival with the SEA transition for the ILS approach to runway 10 left at Portland International.
Expect the Helms 6 arrival with a C transition for the ILS approach to runway 10 left Lufthansa 43.
I want a flap
Lufthansa
setting.
43 descend via the L6 arrival with the SEA transition to 2,300 feet altimeter 3005 at Snohomish County.
Descend via the HELNS6 arrival with a C transition to 2,300 feet altimeter 3005 Lufthansa 43.
2996 meter long runway. I want a flap setting of 30 with the approach speed of 142. Oh, 145. Okay, flaps 30, 145. Okay, flaps 30, 145.
950, it's our very good morning. Continue LS approach runway 11, 150 degrees, 10 knots, KNH 1024. Report 4 miles, LS on final.
So we're set up there. Let's look at the chart on the Helen 6. We're already on the Helen 6. $12,000 for, okay. $10,000 to 95. Let's see. Okay, I'm not sure exactly what the 3,700 refers to or the 9,500 refers to, but I'm going to request down to 10,000 feet. Payne approach. Lufthansa 43, request flight level 1010.
Lufthansa 43 descend and maintain 12,000 feet.
Descend and maintain 12,000 feet Lufthansa 43.
Certainly no time for the seatbelt sign to be off on this flight. So at this intersection, I believe, is it the Helens? The Helens intersection is here. At this intersection, ideal to cross at 12,000 feet. And at Battleground, need to be above 7,000 feet. So I want to drop down to 7,000 feet as soon as we've crossed this waypoint after Helens. Crater. When we get to Crater, I want to be down to 7,000. And I've already been, he said we're cleared to fly the approach, and 7,000 feet is on the approach, so I don't have to ask permission to go down to 7,000. after Helens. Let's set the auto brake to maximum. Let's arm the speed brakes.
Winner 950, cleared approach, continue descent to 7,000 feet, QNH 1024.
1024. Continue down 7,000 feet and return to the ILS 16. Thank you, only not 5.
Coming upon 12,000 feet. We want to hold that. The solid overcast is not quite as solid here. That's Mount Hood, which is almost due east from Portland Airport. Mount Rainier is behind this pillar, and Mount Adams is behind that pillar. So these two pillars are just perfectly blocking our view of those other two Cascade Peaks.
Papa Delta Charlie, final turn runway 11.
There's Rainier. There's Adams. St. Helens. And in the very distant, that's Hood. I believe this river we're seeing ahead of us is called the Tudol River. And during the eruption of Mount St. Helens, if any of you know any of the history of the eruption, there was a cabin and a famous storyteller guy, I don't know his name. The cabin was right along the Tudol River, and much of the blast, you see how the dome is cratered out pointing toward the north? That's where the blast was focused on, in the northerly direction. And a lot of that flow came down the Tudol River. I happen to have been in California when that happened, so I missed out on it. But I have a good number of friends who were in the area, and the cloud blew with the prevailing winds toward the east over the Cascade Mountains. I'm told by other friends that the next couple of years after 1980, the wine crop in eastern Washington was especially spectacular because of all the nutrients in that ash. Well, I'm not sure if it was the nutrients. Maybe it was just the pumice provided a barrier layer for the oxygen and nitrogen. I don't know all the science behind it, but for whatever reason, they say they got a very good wine crop the next couple of years. next several years. Of course, that could just be for marketing purposes, the good American way. Ha ha ha! Good salesman, right? "10 miles to Helens, ground speed 395. We have a quartering tailwind. It's almost a straight wind off of our from the right to the left. Oh, that's St. Helens. It's just gorgeous. There's a little bit of a tailwind factor to it, but mostly it's a wind from the right to the left at 32 knots. So Helens was supposed to be at 12,000, and the waypoint after Helens was supposed to be, I'm sorry, the waypoint after Helens was supposed to be 12,000, right? Was that Crater? Oh, Crater, yes, Crater. Crater above 10,000. So we can drop to 10,000 at Crater, and then 7,000 at Battleground. So let's go down to 10,000.
November Whiskey, turn in final.
Again, we're on the procedure, so we don't have to ask
November Whiskey,
permission.
clear to land runway 11, 120 degrees, 14 knots.
Clear to land, November Whiskey.
Crater is 8 miles away. I'm going to slow us down to 230 knots. Remember, we have a speed limit of 250 under 10,000. So if we go down to 230, we'll be safely under 250.
Lufthansa 43 contact Portland approach on 126.9er, have a good one.
Approach on 126.9er Lufthansa 43.
Now this little scribbling seems to be confusing, but it's really not if you think
Approach
about it.
Lufthansa 43 at 10,900 feet.
Lufthansa 43 good morning. Radar contact. Continue descent via Deln 6 arrival. For the ILS approach to runway 10 left at Portland International.
So it's
Continue descent via the Helms 6 arrival. For the ILS approach to runway 10 left Lufthansa 43.
right now we pitched up so we can bleed off the airspeed, but we've held our descent Not quite at 10,000 feet because we're pitching up to bleed off the airspeed to get down to 230. But this makes sense. Battleground is our next waypoint. Then Trail, T-R-A-Y-L. Then the runway, 10 left. And then the rest of this scribble that you see is the missed approach out to this 1325 waypoint. And then you're in a hold at Battleground. And let's look at that hold. Here's Battleground. Where is that hold? Okay, so basically here and in. Are we going to get vectors or what's going to go on here? No, we're not going to get shouldn't get vectors.
Clear to land, Senegal 104.
The hold is not depicted on the chart here. But the hold is on the Battleground VOR. I would like to see the altitude and the direction of the hold, but it's not published here. I guess if it's not published, you would just take the altitude and direction of the hold from the controller when he assigns it. We can go down to 7,000 at Battleground. Battleground is 14 miles away. Also at Battleground, I'm going to drop down to 190 on the airspeed and put in our first notch of flaps. (10,000 feet), we go into sterile cockpit mode. No unnecessary communication, and we also can turn our landing lights back on. Landing lights, runway turn-off lights, taxi lights, every light in the house is on and working for us. We're in what I call Christmas tree mode. Lit up like a good old Christmas tree. Portland, Oregon is on the Willamette River. That might be the river running east-west is, I believe that's the Columbia River. That's where we're going to be landing on. But the river that intersects it just to the left of the main post coming down, this main post right here, I believe that's the Willamette River. And downtown Portland, Oregon is built on the Willamette River. You can see downtown right there. Three miles to Battleground.
Lufthansa 43 turn right heading to 45 vectors to the ILS approach for runway 10 left at Portland International descend and maintain 4,000 feet.
Heading 245 vectors to the ILS approach for runway 10 left descent and maintain 4,000 feet Lufthansa 43.
Lufthansa 43 turn right heading to 45.
Heading 245 Lufthansa 43.
He's going to give us vectors. 4,000 feet. Speed 190. And 1 notch of flaps.
Lufthansa 43 turn right heading 270.
Heading 270 Lufthansa 43.
And let's go to 170 and flaps 2.
Senegal 418, establish localizer runway 01. Senegal 418, just a moment.
Gear down.
Lufthansa 43 turn left heading 199er descend and maintain 3,000 feet.
Heading 199er descend and maintain 3,000 feet Lufthansa 43.
Lufthansa 43 cleared for ILS to runway 10 left fly heading 135 to intercept final descend and maintain 2,300 feet.
Cleared for ILS approach to runway 10 left fly heading 135 descent and maintain 2,300 feet Lufthansa 43.
(135) 2,300 on the altitude. This happened to be the last time I was flying the Airbus. I did not get the ILS frequency, and I ended up having to hand fly the aircraft in. And I believe the same thing is happening today. I'm not getting the ILS frequency. Let's put the approach on.
Lufthansa 43 altimeter 3007 at Portland International, contact tower on 118.7. Have a good morning.
Altimeter 3007 tower on 118.7 Lufthansa 43.
I put the approach mode on even though I'm not getting the...
Tower Lufthansa 43 inbound for ILS approach runway 10 left.
Lufthansa 43, good morning. Radar contact. Continue ILS to runway 10 left call when established on final.
Continue ILS to runway 10 left, will call when established on final Lufthansa 43.
5 Delta Charlie, Tower, your number 1, report final.
Number 1, report final, Delta Charlie.
Lufthansa Force Rio have traffic at 10 o'clock 3 miles at 1000 feet.
Let's go down to 155 and another notch of flaps. And we'll go down to landing speed 145. And we'll put in the rest of the flaps. And I have the runway, so off the autopilot. Again, disappointing that I don't have the ILS. There's a, I believe it's Pearson Air. Look straight ahead. That little airport's called Pearson Airport in Washington State, just outside of Vancouver, Washington State. The Columbia River, of course, is the boundary. The auto throttle is going to help me quite a bit with the throttle, but I still have to get the bird on the runway. Would have been it would have been a lot easier with the ILS.
1000.
I'm high. .747 is not an airplane they're used to seeing at this airport.
Lufthansa Force Rein's are 278 at 9 knots, cleared to land runway 10 left.
Clear to land runway 10 left, Lufthansa 43.
Continue. Usually when you say continue, you want to be really established. I'm not quite as established as I would like.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
You also have to remember you're sitting on a 4-story building, so the view, you look like you're...
Lufthansa Force re-exit runway when evil.
Come on.
We advised you might have landed on the wrong runway.
Yeah, I might have. I might also not be able to stop. I thought I had my auto brakes on maximum. Ah! That's not good. Okay, well, anyway, folks, we're going to end the recording. They can't all be beautiful, right? Anyway, hope you enjoyed what you got out of that.